Hello there folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel, a place where I discuss on different topics like spirituality, game design and dream interpretation from time to time. Feel free to ask me questions if you're interested in finding out opinions or just another standpoint on certain topics. Now the point about my channel is that I also offer to do game interpretations for people if they seek to find someone who can play test their game or give them some constructive feedback. I'm always willing. It might take a while because I take my time before I do a certain thing, but well, I don't mind helping people, giving them a point of view that um, most may not necessarily come up with, because I know I am different than others. We're all unique, but it all matters on how aware we are of this topic. Now, a funny idea that came in my mind a while ago, I think several days ago, and it's still been bugging me as if, okay, do a video about this, do a video about this. I thought about creating a video whose title would be, is there any spiritual significance to the idea of oral sex? Okay, now oral sex is something that many people may see in movies, but especially in pornography. Okay, and the question was, well, should I actually create such a video? I wasn't interested in, not because I'd be shy regarding sexuality, but simply because I didn't find much importance, nor did I find much to speak on the topic. But usually, I mean always, I never create plans before. At times I may simply let my mind wander and think about certain ideas, which they will not they will come, they won't be late, they are never late. But it's just that if I speak and imagine these things one way or another, the point about this is I might not remember them exactly when I want to tell them, okay, when I'm creating the video itself. So the point about sexuality, okay, now sexuality is not something that most people understand. Okay, many people understand sexuality as just sex itself. Now sexuality is nothing else than life itself. Okay, it is creative energy. Sexuality, sexual energy is creative energy. Okay, now this is basically one thing that will dictate how much imagination you will have, and also with a very healthy Swadhisthana chakra, it will also show how lively you will feel. Okay, most likely if you feel clumped up, if you feel always tired, uh, probably people like they end up using their sexuality just for sexual pleasures, and this is something that costs people a very lot. Okay, and I really mean this, it costs people a lot, um, because well, it does cost a lot. Many people don't know what sexuality actually means. Okay, it is just the surface level of sex and the point of pleasure. Okay, there are greater pleasures to achieve in life, but well, this is kind of the easiest one to achieve. The others one may require a lot of work, and people kind of have ended up always wanting the result but not wanting to do the work towards that, which kind of is not necessarily a good thing. Okay, um, so the point about sex is many people don't tell you the metaphysical problems of sex. Okay, sex is something that should exist as sparsely as possible in people's lives, not because it would be a bad thing, but if misused, everything becomes bad. Okay, now I just want you to understand that I don't like the idea of duality. Maybe I have transcended it and I simply don't know exactly, or I don't know, I'm still somewhat doubtful, or it actually duality doesn't matter to me. Okay, there is no such thing as good as bad. Okay, I just see things still from somewhat of a dualistic nature, but I see things from a much simpler point. Okay, many people have this impression that if you do something good, congratulations, you won a Scooby Snacks. If you do something bad, your life is shit. Okay, or your life is like totally screwed. There are things that will make your life blissful, and most hopefully the lives of people around you or there are things that will make other people's lives miserable, and most likely yours as well. Because, well, if your life is pleasant, you may want other people's lives to be pleasant as well, but you have to understand that you're not here to shape others. But if your life is shit, you're definitely going to want to make other people's lives shit. Okay, so the point about oral sex, okay, like the topic was about this, it's as if the universe would want me to present something like this. I don't know if I'd be the best one in this, but my point and my answer straight is kind of yes, okay, but also there is a no. Let's get actually to the yes part, because most likely people are expecting this. Now, why would there be a sexual, spiritual aspect? Okay, there is always a spiritual aspect to things. Now, what is actually spirituality? Okay, many people are using this word, but if I look at them, okay, because I know I'm much more aware than, if not all the people I've met, and I don't want to boast, okay, but that's how exactly I feel. um, it's like when I look at them, it's like they're just using that word out of a habit, okay? And a habit means using something unconsciously. You don't know what the fuck that is, but you're just using it, okay? Which is kind of, you're not gonna make someone's life better, okay? If you're using things that you don't know. This clearly shows a lack of humility, okay? A lack of openness, because you cannot open yourself towards other people with things that you don't know. What you don't know and you propagate is technically a lie, because you can only know that which you are, you can only know that which you have experienced. If you're propagating things that you haven't really experienced, right, and you just have this sense, this idea of that you know something, that's a bit tending towards psychiatry, okay? You're creating something, you're believing in it, well, not much of a problem, but that kind of needs a bit of treatment. You're creating something that it doesn't exist, but you're believing in it, well, that I think someone may need some special pills for that. Okay, so the point about sexuality that most people may not actually tell you, okay, so there is always something about spirituality, okay? So being spiritual means going beyond the physical, okay? What is beyond the physical can actually be called spiritual, okay? There is no such thing as doing spiritual work, okay? You're not doing any work, you're not acting spiritually, you're not serving spirituality, okay? These are just concepts that people who don't know much about this have created, and other people were just misinformed, and they just believed, because many people are just like sheep. And again, ignorance is bliss, but ignorance turns you into sheep, and sheep kind of end up in slaughterhouses, right? Also, many people say ignorance is bliss, but I've had an epiphany recently, and the question is whose bliss it is. Most certainly not yours, because ignorant people are never happy. They might simulate it very well, but I assure you they're not happy, okay? You simply cannot be happy, because when you are ignorant, it just means that you don't care about your inner energies. When you don't care about your inner energies, they will run havoc. They will go mad within you. So that also means that, hey, you know what? If those energies run havoc, okay, they run mad within you, most likely they will turn against you. So there is no such thing as happiness in such people, okay? Now, since I gave this little, opinion, idea about sexuality, well, about, spirituality, okay, I kind of always prefer giving, some things around and create some kind of foundation for people to understand a certain point. That's why my videos may end up as longer. While also I want to just trigger people's curiosity and cuddle it, I don't want to give them a flat answer like most people do, and other people take that for granted. I just want to have people think, because we have been given a mind to think. We have been given the same exact tools for introspection, right? We have the same tools for introspection that Gautama the Buddha had, or Shiva or anyone else. Technically, the ascended masters have used the same tools that are within you and within everyone else. It's just that you're constantly playing a stupid game in which you're propagating the idea that you're not worth being spiritual, or you cannot start spirituality. That is not something that you start from the moment you're born. Okay, also it depends, yes, on some sort of spiritual wisdom, but spirituality exists within you. It's just a certain point that at a certain moment in life you will become a bit more aware of that. I call it the touch of madness. Okay, it happened to me in this life, and I still used to fight a bit against, but the universe just kept giving me certain glimpses of other possible, well, other dimensions, because I can't call them possible anymore. What you see, what you hear is there. It does exist. Even people who hear voices, they are there. It's just that their mind caught a glimpse of a different dimension, yes, but, well, in some cases it might need some treatment, but unfortunately treatments may make things much worse. So the point about sexuality, okay, when people become sexual, okay, it's much worse than that. Okay, it's not just about the release and the orgasm that people feel at the end. Okay, sex can also be taken as a how to put it, as a short form for sexual entities transference. Okay, or exchange, if you want to take it like that. Okay, or sexual energy exchange. Okay, and the point about this is that when people have sex, okay, and one of the reasons why there are so many sexual predators in this world, and I'm not talking about rapists, I'm talking about people who do everything to simply get laid with you, be they women, be they men. The point is they're just interested in expanding their influence. Okay, they are just slaves of a certain sexual entity or more, and they just want other people to fall for them, right? When you manifest ideas of lack, okay, you will draw a lot of such beings. Okay, demons and all sorts of parasites are quickly attracted by mentalities of lack. Not necessarily quickly, but sooner or later they will come, because a lack is an opening in what many people say your protections. Sure, not all kind of entities are interested in you, and not all kinds of entities may actually influence you. Okay, but there will be those few who will influence you, because to a certain extent they're also helping you grow. Now, you might have seen those cases, let's say, of a woman who, in your opinion, you say she looks like hell, right? She's ugly, she's definitely ugly, but there is something that's kind of appealing within her. Okay, and it's not her sexuality. I mean, it could be, but it's just the influence of some of these entities. Okay, that have this magnetic pull. Okay, they make that person feel a lot more attractive. From an authenticity standpoint, okay, if the person is fully authentic to themselves, or, well, she's or he's very authentic, okay, it doesn't matter if they're a charlatan or not. Okay, because some people come here to be authentic charlatans. Okay, some people will ask, but hey, how is it that some people are authentic and charlatans at the same time? Well, authenticity means nothing else than doing something that you really like, be it that you do it in a bad way or in a good way. Okay, let's put it shortly like this. Okay, be it that you seek to make other people's lives miserable, or actually be that you seek to make your life better, okay, more pleasurable at the expense of others, or not. Okay, let's actually put it like this. So the point about this is there are a lot of such beings. Okay, and those beings most likely also help some of the fake gurus and people you might actually find in nowadays life, and they've always been here. It's just that nowadays you're much more capable of connecting to people from far away, especially through the internet, right? And this is how we actually became more aware of them. Back in the times, you were born in a town and you'd most likely live in there, or a village, and you would live there. Outside of it, it was like very perilous. So having sex with such beings is not a good thing. Now, these entities, okay, that install control in other beings, okay, just because they want to feed, because usually demons and other entities are lower vibrational, and they kind of vibrate at the frequency of parasites. And a parasite is only concerned about its survival. It's not interested ever in your well-being. It just wants to feed. And you happen to be a sucker good enough to simply allow them to feed. Because parasites don't come to you without your will. Sure, some might actually create certain subconscious contracts with you in your dreams, but, well, things happen for a certain reason, and nothing that the universe wouldn't allow can actually happen. So, the point about sexuality, okay? The physical body, okay? Or let's actually take it a bit longer, okay? Water, you may have heard that water has memory, okay? And that memory counts especially when you drink it, because if you drink tap water, most likely that water is filled with a lot of memory that will not serve you, okay? It's not that it's ever gonna kill water, okay? It's still gonna live, it doesn't matter what memory it carries. But whatever you consume becomes a part of you, even if you don't physically consume it, okay? Just like with feeding yourself. Feeding yourself is not only physical. What you see, okay, it's physical in all sorts of ways, okay? Even energy is physical. Not because you see it, but even energy is physical. Because in many situations you can actually feel it. You can feel the warmth of the sun. That is energy that you're feeling, okay? And energy is still physical. It is, in its purest forms, it is much more, it's much less dense, okay? But it's still energy, okay? And energy, dense or not, is still physical. It belongs to like subtler dimensions, but it's still physical. It's still classified as physical. Now, energy, okay, is easily influenceable. Your auric field is still something physical. When you're close to a certain person, your auras overlap, because they are said to be around 2 or 3 meters around you. When your auras overlap, they are actually exchanging information, because they are still bodies, okay? They are extensions of your body, okay? And in your auric field lie all the parasites that you might have, so you can also exchange some of them with the other person. And it's not that you're gonna take their parasites, it's just that they're gonna create a copy in you if they are capable, okay? And it's not gonna necessarily instantaneously happen, but when you stay near other persons and you suddenly have some awkward thoughts in your mind, that process is kind of already triggering, okay? I made a video about the pendulum effect, or how things can actually influence you, and, well, the point about that is, well, everything that you manifest is technically like a burst, okay? Like an explosion of energy that grows outwards, and, well, as it grows outwards, it actually impacts walls, physical objects, literally everything, and it actually settles within them. You will be surprised that even inanimate objects have some kind of memory, because there are remnants of memory that people have manifested around. Anger, hatred, joyfulness, anything. When you have a certain idea, when you like something, when you manifest an emotion, emotion means energy in motion, so it's like a kind of a burst that simply bombards the surrounding. If you're ever wondering why in your house you're probably going to experience a certain type of thoughts, some types of thoughts when you are at the bathroom, some type of thoughts when you are in your bed, it's because most likely those type of thoughts you've been thinking so much in those specific areas. You've created like some kind of thought forms that haven't yet dissipated, okay? The more you think of a certain thing at the same place, you're like bombarding your surroundings with that more and more, okay? Instead of just letting those thoughts dissipate so that they no longer influence you, you are giving birth to some sort of thought forms, and these may actually start feeding from you, from your auric field, right? They start feeding on your mental body, and it can have some physical influences as well. Now, as I said, water has memory, and much of our body is made of water, okay? Like when you're born and up to a certain age, your brain is 90% water, and this slowly decreases as time goes by. The body is like 70% water, which is kind of funny because the planet is covered by 70% water, okay? It's like somewhat funny, okay? These ratios, they're not quite accidental at all, okay? Now, when we move to sexuality, okay, your physical body has a much more deeper memory, okay, because it has many more types of memory, okay. You have the memory that comes from your ancestors, for example, bad habits and good habits, different ideas, especially your ancestors, how they look like, okay. You may not physically know how they look like except certain pictures, but you don't know if those were photoshopped or not. But if you have a family album, well, that's most likely how they looked, yes. But the point about this is you may not know how people looked a billion years ago, but your body does know, okay. The whole history of the universe is encrusted in your body, okay. There are some genes in the DNA, and you also have that in the Akashic records, okay. Every person has access to that, but there's an amount of work that has to be done for that, okay. So sex actually implies you and the other person having a so-called intercourse. Now what's an intercourse? Well, you're changing the course of some of this information from one to another. Technically you're making a exchange of such information. When you love someone and you spend a lot of, let's call it intimate, although intimacy is not necessarily what people think, and I'm not speaking about sexuality. When you're spending a lot of time with someone and you're staying a long time close to them, the point about this is that if you start having some awkward dreams, okay, dreams that you have never been experiencing till then, or you have certain things that maybe you haven't, or you didn't like before, or you never had or thought of before, it's probably because you have absorbed some of this person's thoughts without wanting to, okay. It's not about wanting, it just may happen, okay. It may happen, okay, just as I've been saying. So when you meet a certain person, why is it that you shake hands with your right hand, right, and not with the left one? Well, the right hand and the wrist, okay, of the right hand is said to be in direct contact with the subconscious mind. One of the reasons why magicians may tap you in that area, okay, they're just inducing a certain thought in your mind. That's why they're controlling your subconscious mind very well, right? Mentalism and the such can do this to a certain extent. Depends on how well people may be protected and how aware they can keep themselves, although it's kind of very bad when you end up as tripped, or namely stuck in between two states of awareness, let's say like that. Now, to move even further, okay, sexuality, well, let's actually take another thing. Not necessarily when you shake hands, but when you sit by a person, okay, a lot of processes within you go on because you're technically interested in always testing the waters, seeing what that person actually has, okay. Even if you're not looking anywhere than, let's say, their eyes, you're still feeding yourself with energy from that being, while that being also is feeding from energy of yourself, right? Why do you think energy vampires love being around people, especially highly empathic people? It's because they easily draw on others, okay. So when you draw on others, you're technically drawing their attention, so you're basically allowing them, consciously or subconsciously, in your life, and you're also allowing them to feed from you, because empathic people will always be much greater energy sources. Now again, this is nothing else than lessons in life, so don't end up judging these things as bad, okay. But even when you stay close to a person, you might actually have some of those awkward feelings in your gut, right? It's not called a gut feeling for nothing. Your gut is technically like another brain because it's capable of processing specifically the emotions of what you feel, and those emotions are not yours. They're just emotions of other people. If you feel somewhat bad, okay, it might not be just because you've created a story in your mind that the other person may be intimidated. What if that person is kind of intimidated by you? Because even if you feel that you are shy somewhat, okay, I assure you that if you are a tough nut to crack, in many situations that can actually be intimidating to people, because many people having a low self-esteem, they would expect people to open up. When they find someone like me, who either opens up a lot and speaks a lot of things and still has people notice or have a bad sensation that they know so much about me, and then when they speak to me, it's like I'm totally a different person. As I said, I'm nothing. Okay, don't try to understand me, because I am nothing. Okay, I'm not a mask, I'm not anything. Okay, as much as possible, also tending toward this and improving on this. Well, improving, yes, I'm becoming more and more authentic. And with my authenticity, I'm technically nothing, because I am as much as possible one with creation. You cannot be one with creation and anything else. Okay, so with sexuality, when people commit to sexuality, okay, the point about this is very simple. Okay, sexuality is something that belongs purely to the mind. Okay, and this will include also the part why sexuality doesn't have any spiritual meaning. Okay, sexuality is something that can be taken as sacred. Okay, and oral sex is, well, what many people might say submission, but I call it an acceptance. Okay, when people are capable of, becoming somewhat intimate. Okay, well, though, intimacy is nothing else than the capability of understanding someone. Okay, of going really deep within their emotions, really deep within their mind, their psyche. Okay, understanding certain problems of them. That's when you actually become intimate. When someone's rubbing your body, okay, as technically intercourse is what people believe the most intimate situation. Okay, but that's technically rubbing the outskirts of what you are. Okay, the physical body, which is the outer limitation of what you are. It's technically the border of your existence. Okay, that's like the outer layer of the star that you are, and your aura is technically your shine. Okay, if you are interested in becoming intimate with a star, you would be interested in studying its cores, right? It's studying its internal structure, right? Just like with our planet Earth, we have become somewhat intimate with it because we have managed to understand some of the things regarding, earthquakes, for example, or storms and such, right? This is in a way an idea of intimacy, because we're diving deeper into certain things. Okay, we're understanding something, not because we are rubbing our feet against the planet when we are walking, right? Or we are keeping our feet on soil when we are getting grounded. Okay, when one gets grounded, yes, that's another way of becoming somewhat intimate with the planet, but it doesn't mean that when you have sex with another person you'll actually be intimate. Okay, because having sex, okay, like the sexual penetration, is just the touch of skins. It's basically the same when you poke someone, okay, or when you touch someone with your finger. It's still a skin touch. Oh yes, it doesn't have a sexual nature, but it can, okay, if you're teasing someone. But even if it doesn't have a sexual nature, it's kind of the same thing. It's basically the same thing. It's just that people have ended up giving so much importance to sexual energy. Okay, it almost becomes painful, and to them it does become painful, but it's a very beautiful distraction, so why not spend as much time as possible into it. Okay, so the point about oral sex, okay, it is nothing else than a physical acceptance. Okay, it's just a physical necessity of the body. Okay, it is a way that you show the other person that you want them. Okay, even if it can end up being used as a fetish, and I released recently a video on fetishes. I also have another video, an older video, on the difference in between fetishes and fantasies. Now the point about sexuality, it's all about the scent, because scent will always play an important part. Okay, why I'll always tell people to never touch cubs, okay, or the, let's say, the litter, the babies of cats, is simply because those kittens, okay, they have their own personal smell, and by that smell their mother will recognize. Now the point is that if you touch them, okay, if you cuddle them, you're most likely gonna impregnate them with that smell. Okay, so the point is, if you're doing that, okay, their mother may actually no longer recognize them. So, well, we have a little problem here. Technically you're kind of sealing the life of those how to call them, oh yes, you're kind of sealing the life of those little kittens. Okay, So scent is something in a way important, because when it comes to sexuality, okay, each of the organs, like the specific sexual organs, I'm not necessarily talking about breasts in this case, but the genital organs, let's say it like that, they have a certain scent of theirs, okay, and their scent is specifically meant, I mean, in the correct terms of being clean, right, in the right sense of cleanliness. Those natural smells purpose is to simply induce a certain amount of erogeny in the other person, right? They're interested, their purpose is to trigger the other person, okay? So that's basically one point, okay? It's also a point of no, I wouldn't call it submission, because submission feels a lot like fetishes, but I would speak about acceptance, okay? You're accepting that other person while the other person is accepting you, okay? They're embracing you, they're allowing you to their most sensitive area, okay? This is also an animal specific thing, in between males, which are usually the rougher part of societies, okay? Showing your genitalia shows an idea of allowing the other one control, or giving up in front of the other being, okay? As as of us as humans, we are also capable of using this, and again, some may actually use this for several other reasons, just like beyond certain person's pleasuring, okay? um, so the point about this is, yes, it does have some spiritual, but not meaning, okay? The idea of meaning is not spiritual, okay? You cannot ever have spiritual meaning, okay? um, because spiritual means beyond the mind, okay, and the mind only belongs to the body. So spiritual being everything else that lies beyond your body. Some of these things, okay, some of the things beyond the body can actually be explained in certain ways, okay, although it's kind of hard to provide all the information, but there can be made a generalized opinion, okay, but it's still not something like fully specific, okay? So the point about this is, well, it could be nothing more or nothing less than accepting the point that, becoming humble in life, that not everything can actually be defined, okay? You cannot simply define life or creation. Creation may not necessarily be aware of you, may not be aware of you having been born, okay? So creation and many other concepts are much beyond us, okay? And, well, sexuality, for example, can be presented from a spiritual standpoint in a way, like just as I said, okay? It's not something that should be abused, it's not something that should be ignored either, okay? It all matters how you treat it, okay? Don't do it from a fetishistic standpoint, because it means expectation, and expectation leads to disappointment, okay? It leads to disappointment because when you expect something, most likely it won't happen the way you want it, okay? Expectation also means control in a way, because you are demanding, silently or not, something to happen the way you want, okay? Now, the quality of people you are manifesting this idea of sexuality also will shape your life, okay? There are so many karmic aspects, karmic imprints from ancestors, even thousands of generations before, but usually several, I don't know, dozen generations before you, but most importantly the previous 7, because that's where your DNA is still the most potent, although you still carry the genes of all your ancestors, okay? That's why in very few cases it can happen that 2 black people might have a white child, or 2 white people might have a black child, okay? This is not something bad, although many people will rush to say that the other person simply cheated on them, okay? So I can't really say that there is a sexual meaning, okay, or a spiritual meaning to oral sex, but the point is, It is just a physical, like, yes, it is a physical urge, but the way you apply it as either an urge, or, well, an urge is synonymous to fetish, or as something that you want to experience, and the quality of people can have some spiritual influence and will definitely have some spiritual influence on you. On the other side, it doesn't necessarily have one, because basically meaning is something that many people create and they kind of get stuck in it, okay? Uh, and also based on people's awareness, most likely they won't realize how much, having sexual intercourse with other people will influence them. Most likely that won't influence them in that current life, okay? So, um, yeah, I can actually debate a lot more on this. I don't want to extend this way too long, but come again, hopefully you've learned something. Hopefully you like and, well, follow the type of content that I'm creating. I'm not forcing people to actually follow, but hopefully you like the type of content. Feel free to ask me questions if you're interested. Feel free to send me some links to your video game projects if you're having any and you may want some constructive criticism. All this being said, well, enjoy life. Remember, life is just like a game, so play it instead of letting it play you. All this being said, you are loved and appreciated. Take care of yourself, take care of the others, become more introspective, and you'll see that anything or most of the information that you are seeking already lives within you. All this being said, you are loved and appreciated. Whatever you are doing is the best you can at the right pace for you. You are more than good enough. Ferenc on board, signing out.